A face that you all recognize. Erica, what's cracking?
What's the word? It's a good night.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. We got two brand new faces. One of them was on time. Shout out to that. The other one y'all ain't seen before. What's going on, Miss Ivy? How you living in these streets?
These streets not ready for me, man.
Oh,
I'm living good.
Oh, hell. And then we got, to my left, we got Gerald with a J. What's cracking?
What's going on? What's going on? Good evening.
Hey, man. We good?
Oh, yeah.
Ain't nobody nervous, are they?
Oh, no, we ready.
Yeah, let's hit that media volume. Appreciate you. There we go. We're going to start that up. We out here trying to be serious in these streets, talking domestic violence tonight, and we got somebody with their media volume up. But look, shout out to everybody that tuned in. I greatly appreciate it. Guys, if you hadn't shared this feed already, go ahead and share this feed. We are talking domestic violence in sports tonight. There's a lot of that going on. If you hadn't heard about the Kareem Hunt situation, that's the newest thing. He told Reuben Foster that I got this as far as the videos coming out. But look, interactive show. Like, share, comment. We want to hear from you all. The phone number is, if you got a great comment or just a so-so comment, you can call in 470-569. That ain't even right. 470-251-4343 is the phone number to dial. I'm about to give y'all the old phone number. But look, like I said, we got a dope show lined up for y'all tonight. Since last week, like I said, we talking domestic violence in sports. And if we got a minute before we get out of here, I might squeeze in two things that every black household needs to get rid of. And some other nationalities too, if they got them. But that's gonna be on there for sure. Yeah, since last week, anything dope happened to you since last week?
Not that I can think of.
No?
No, pretty normal week.
Well, same.
I did. I started a new job.
Okay, all right.
On Monday.
That's big.
What you doing now? I'm not gonna ding you for that. Go ahead. I ding you for asking. There we go.
I work in the county, so I'm working with the commissioner's office now.
Oh, okay. Hey, she can add.
I can add.
All right, that's what I'm talking about. What's going on, man? Anything dope?
Everything's good. Everything's good.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Well, since last week, everybody, I probably had the worst week of bowling that I've ever had. But this is the first week that our team won all 3 games. Okay.
So they don't need you.
I can deal with that. Maybe. They needed my 160s. They needed my 160s. Fantasy football teams lost this weekend. The Bears lost this weekend. And for any of y'all football fans,
both of our teams.
Well, I mean, if the Bears lost and the Vikings lost, then that's a wash.
And that means that my team is still a game and a half in first place.
Yes.
There we go. We'll take that. And wait, you a football fan?
I am, but I'm not loyal, so we don't have to stick on you.
Okay.
I go with who?
Whoever's winning.
Whoever wins, I say I don't like to lose. So I'm Saints fan.
You need to let her
Another
go.
one. Yeah, we gonna look. She about to get sent on up out of here.
I'm
She's silly. The Bears lost. I mean, the Bulls lost, but they did fire their coach. So we trending back to the good part. The Bears gonna make the playoffs. We trending back up, and I'm probably gonna have my best week of bowling come Thursday. So boom, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so we're just about to jump right into it. Man, the domestic violence, all this thing was like a whirlwind. Like you heard there was a video that popped up, and the first thing everybody probably thought about was, damn, that was like the Ray Rice video. Not in what happened, but you know, in these videos, everybody immediately starts thinking about Ray Rice and the domestic abuse. Everybody see the video?
Yeah, I've seen it. I watched it a couple of times.
Oh, okay. No, I'm not gonna play the video. I don't like seeing women out there getting thrashed. I tried to debate it. I kind of debated back and forth on if I wanted to start this show with the montage of uppercuts and pushes and kicks and stuff like that. And I was
to
just
women?
like,
not uppercuts.
I mean, just the various incidents that has taken place. So whether it was Ray Rice in the elevator, Joe Mixon at the restaurant, at this hotel with this with Kareem Hunt, and you know it's one of those things that keep happening over and over and over again.
I mean, it's a time and place for that. I mean, if you want to watch Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, they traded blows real good over the weekend. So that's the example, I guess, of not having domestic violence. Mm-hmm. But this situation is more so, I guess, an example of what not to do. Definitely what not to do.
These are the ones getting caught on camera, though. So what about all the ones that are not getting caught on camera?
Well, it's cameras everywhere. I mean, except for in your house. And, you know, those are the people that – so, like,
right.
We look at all those people that get caught on camera, and then you turn around and the kicker for the Giants, Josh Brown, which most of his may have been in home, in which he was thrashing his wife. And there was reported incidents, but he had never gotten suspended.
Right.
For years, by the way.
Like,
For
I'm talking
years.
about, I think it was like 40, some crazy number of just calls that were made.
Of police calls?
Yeah, that was made over the years, in which.
And the team knew about it, I'm assuming.
People knew about it. Yeah, it wasn't no secrets. Like, hey, when you the kicker or you're an NFL player, when you get called or stopped or whatever, they're gonna know you.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's no secrets at all. I don't care how many.
So what do you think the difference is? Is it the watching factor, the fact that we can see it?
The biggest difference between the Josh Brown situation and the other names that he's mentioned, Josh Brown is white. So I think there's an implicit bias between, you know, a white guy beating his wife. And she even made the steps of calling the authorities and notifying, you know, the authorities of what was going on. And there was no follow through on it, not by the team, you know, not by law enforcement. Whereas these are situations where these guys are married to these young ladies for the most part, except for Ray Rice. Ray Rice is married. And, you know, we have them getting, you know, effectively taken out of the game altogether, losing their ability to make a living, which is not a right. It's more so a privilege. But at the same time, it doesn't really seem like the rules are applied evenly, and everybody's not held to the same standard as far as, you know, what's to be expected of them. And so I think that that's a little unfair. But I also think we need to make a distinction between saying what's happening to them may not be fair, but what's actually happening, what they're doing, sure is totally unacceptable. Like, asking for there to be fair and equal treatment is not saying what they're doing is right. Like, you should never put your hands on somebody if you're in a relationship with them. That's absolutely
He wasn't even in a relationship with this chick, though, right?
He was not. That's what makes it's another thing that makes the situation very unique.
So let's just rewind. Just in general, you were raised never to hit a woman, correct?
Absolutely.
And it was one of those situations where it was under any circumstances, right?
Yes.
I mean, were you all taught like never to go at a dude or in that way, or never like to cross that line or hit that red button?
I wasn't taught that. I mean, my dad was military, so I think I felt his presence around, and it wasn't even a thought to fight back. You know, I was the oldest. It was me and my sister, and my little brother didn't come for years later. So I think it was just a different environment where I never really saw it. My dad was a single father. I didn't see women in the house, so I wasn't even exposed to that.
Okay.
It was a different situation.
Yeah. Well, I was exposed to domestic violence when I was a child. So, I mean, I guess I have two different views on it when it comes to, you know, really addressing what Gerald said. But I wasn't taught to like not attack somebody. It's like if somebody hits you, you gotta hit them back with yours. You can't fight a man. You like it's cool for a minute, then you black out. I mean, seriously, you cannot fight a man. So, and I remember this is a side story because I had a friend that was experiencing abuse, and it's really not funny, but you know, men will say like if you with somebody and you know, I'm not little anyway. I call myself a stallion, if you will. But people, but no, but seriously, like, so say if I'm a certain weight and the guy is smaller than me, you know, he'll say, well, I mean, you bigger than me. If you try to hit me, I have to protect myself against you too. I've seen that has never happened to me, but I'm saying that was a scenario when there was so it's abuse on both ends. It's not.
I would agree with that.
Yeah,
for sure.
You know, the I ain't gonna say funny thing about it, but the thing about it is like most of the time you can't. Guys get ridiculed for, you know, making that call like, hey, my girl is beating me.
That's that double standards.
That is true.
My girl is beating me, like, and so I was talking about it earlier today where we just go back, like, we're gonna get back to sports, but where Jay-Z got thrashed in the elevator by Solange. Everybody thought that was the funniest thing. And it didn't matter that, you know, hey, he didn't hit her back. Only thing that they was like, yo, Jay-Z got beat up in the elevator by Solange. And that was the meme. Don't make me go get Solange. Don't make me go do this. And it's like, wait, whoa. That can't be the threat. Like, right. that can't be the threat, because there could be an L in that for any woman that decide to go that route. And so I understand, like, sticking up for your sister and doing something like that. And one of the things I told my wife was like, so if I became famous to the point where I felt like I needed bodyguards, would it be against the rules for me to have at least one female to take care of that lightweight?
Like a female bodyguard to handle your female.
Yeah, because I can't put Gerald on somebody, but I can put one of y'all on somebody.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, I would say, I mean, I've had the conversation maybe when the Jay-Z thing came to light. What is as a man, like, what's the line that's drawn as far as what I could do if a female is being aggressive or attacking towards me, right? So shout out to Maurice in London. We got London fans, if y'all didn't know. But he works in domestic violence. That's his field. I don't know if he's on right now. And I said, well, Mo, if I put a lady in the full Nelson because she's trying to get at me and I just got to control her, you know what I'm saying, would I go to jail for that? He said, absolutely you would go to jail for that.
For a full Nelson?
If I put her in the full Nelson, it's a wrestling move. She got her arms up, she flailing, she can't move, but I'm controlling her, you know? Said, I would go to jail for that. She's attacked me. I didn't hit her, you know what I'm saying? Got her in a little wrestling move so she can't, you know, she's immobilized. He's like, no, that's going too far. That's not something you want to do. So it's to the point where, you know, as a man, really your best option, take them hits, walk away.
So let me ask y'all this.
Take them hits.
If in that situation, and we talked about some of the deal breakers, and you, not now, but let's just say you met somebody. You met somebody and they said, yo, I got a domestic charge on me. You asked what happened. You asked what happened, and I full Nelson my ex-girlfriend. Why is this funny? I full Nelson my ex-girlfriend. Or she was trying to hit me. I defended myself and shooed her away and she fell. Like, is that a deal breaker? Is that something that you would look at and be like, you know what? No, you can't be out here defending yourself. And no, I don't want to be out here getting full Nelson.
Go ahead.
Well, I
see you, Sarita.
I particularly, I'm gonna just say you date different people, right? So I've learned that you need to date people that bring out the best in you. There are some people that will take you to that place of full Nelsonism, okay?
that's on the light side.
That's what I'm just saying. But yeah. I have had different. So if people are bringing out aggression, because people will try you. I'm gonna use for example. That cheating stuff, that disrespect. You might get their hands on you. I'm just playing. No, I'm saying. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh, newbie.
But no.
Come on, Rook.
So at the end of the day, the reason what I'm trying to say is that certain situations you can get caught. Like, I mean, I could have been in those situations before where I have, where you get in these real intense arguments, and then someone brings out the worst in you. So particularly, I might want somebody to forgive me for my record too. So that's really not a deal breaker, just depending on because you really don't know the circumstances. Because the police come out nowadays, they send both of y'all to jail.
Yeah, it's a wrap.
So you don't really know what the situation is. So that's not a deal breaker to me.
Well, so I think some people too get addicted to the cycle of abuse. They get addicted to hitting the guy. He gets sad. He says sorry. And then there's a cycle of like going back to getting hit and abused so that he could feel bad about it, so you can entangle him into your look what you did to me. And there's like some psychological stuff that kind of goes into that, with women. But for me, it wouldn't necessarily be a deal breaker if I can understand that this really was a one-off situation and I trusted him. If I trust him and he's telling the truth, that's fine. But if he go like this, if I go to pet his dog and his dog kind of. And I feel like dude, why everybody scared of you? Your kid's scared of you, your dog's scared of you, your ex-wife, then there might be more there that you need to look into.
Yeah.
Right. Sarita in the chat room on Instagram says, any woman that puts her hand on a man deserves to get hit back. This come from a woman.
I don't agree with that.
A guy can't say that.
And what's hands? I mean, so if a girl's like, just get away from me, she pushes you, now he's ready to bow up. Or is we talking about she's punching him?
No, we've seen that.
So Solange, for example,
you motherfucker, I'm gonna bat, and
should he have hit her? So according to your thing with the elevator, should Solange have gotten full Nelson?
No, she should have got
absolutely.
Punched, that's what you're saying. Or she should have got.
She should have got full Nelson.
Controlled, but not hit back.
Absolutely.
Not
kick back, not hit,
mixing,
not uppercut.
None of that. No.
She should have been
bigger than her.
She should have been subdued.
Yeah, not
because she was wild. I mean, and so nobody wants to sit and get beat up. Your natural reaction is to defend yourself. But it's levels to it, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times it's a little sidebar, but it's kind of related. When we have these police brutality situations, and we say he could have immobilized them. Mm-hmm. He could have used a method that he's been trained to do, because police don't just get taught to shoot people. They get taught different ways of taking people down or, immobilizing them for their own safety. So in a similar situation, if somebody's coming at you and attacking you, it could be a child, that you're physically stronger than. It could be a woman that you're physically stronger than. You don't have to resort to a knockout blow or, trying to take their head off and you want to hit them and so forth and so on. It's things that you can do, being more mature about it if you really feel like, you're being, attacked or you're in danger, besides, hitting her like you would hit a man. Like, so to say, if a woman is going to put her hands on a man she deserves, or to get hit back, or she needs to get hit back, I would disagree with that. For sure. And then my perspective is different. I got sisters. You know what I'm saying? I have a daughter. So, do I tell them, we don't want you out here hitting people? Sure. But if somebody were to hit them, obviously I would be.
If somebody full Nelson one of your sisters?
I know my sisters. You would ask why. So if one of my sisters got full Nelson, then depending on which one it was, without even hearing the story, I probably would know if what happened and why, and if they deserved it or not.
So, I'm going to ask you a question. So, if a woman, since you said the woman hit you, if she hits you, she doesn't deserve to be hit. She just deserves to be full Nelson. Controlled.
Mm-hmm. Restrained. Because like I said, it's only so many hits you're gonna be able to take before it's like, all right, we're getting closer to that level. And so, like Uncle Keith was like, knowing your partner helps. Mm-hmm. Knowing your partner helps, and also, and not just knowing, the stuff that you want to know, that level. You want to know that line not to cross, because sometimes you're gonna get there. Sometimes hey, all I gotta do is get out these last three things, and it's not gonna be at that level. But then there's usually dudes don't go there in that way. It's more so like the woman, if the woman feels wrong, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, if the women feel like they're wronged, and if they're trying to get back with words, and they know where that line is, but if they don't feel like they've gotten to that line and they still don't feel like they've gotten
the reaction they want. That's really what it is. We're saying stuff to you. You ain't this, you ain't, and we want a reaction. You ain't giving us the reaction, so it's like, okay, well, that's because you a mother, and now we want to say something that you're like, all right, now you're doing too much. But now we're like, okay, now we're getting a reaction, so that escalates it. Now we're like, oh, okay, let me continue to feed it because I'm hurting him. Not physically, but emotionally. I'm talking about your manhood. I'm talking about the sex. I'm talking about you ain't got no money. I'm just doing everything I can.
That's why your mama got a ding-a-ling.
Right?
Will trigger you.
And then the moment he's like, goes to grab you, like, stop. Now it's, get your hands off me.
Now you little. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you would do that.
Right?
I mean, which ties into the situation that we brought up in the first place, because allegedly the young lady that had the issue with Kareem Hunt called him a nigger. Not with an A, with the hard ER multiple times. And so, you know what I mean? Okay, is there something that you could say, not necessarily do as far as physical violence, but is there something you could say that you would say, okay, she said that to him, I understand why he did what he did. Because we're operating off of a no tolerance policy, saying he was absolutely wrong for doing that. But I can understand how he would be so upset as to go at her like that.
That's his youth and immaturity coming out. But
so, like, is it emotional intelligence? I mean, this young lady wasn't even there, from what I've read, wasn't even there for him. She was there because one of his friends needed companionship. We're going to put it like that because it's a family show. But, and she wasn't with it. So she had some words for him. She ended up calling him a nigger multiple times. And so he followed her out of a hotel room into the hallway where the camera was. And then that's where the altercation was caught on camera. So it's like, whoa, hold on. You know what I'm saying? Is a white person, a white young lady calling me a nigger reason enough for me to be like, I want to forcefully remove her out of the situation? You know? Do you just call security? He could have definitely handled it better. You know what I'm saying?
That last kick is what did it. I mean,
sure.
Some of it I was all like, he pushed somebody on her, someone's breaking them up. It's kind of like high school fight. But when he came up on her and put that kick, that's when I was like, okay, bro, you out of here at that point.
Tony, real quick, if you got a Cliff Notes version to your story, man, go ahead and give us a call, 470-251-4343. Man, you know, so I look at, so in those type of situations, and we see the punishments getting doled out. And so, you know, Ray Rice was 2 games, and they was like, oh, the NFL don't take this seriously. And then it's 6 games. And then it's like, oh, well, they doing something a little bit more, but I don't know if that's enough for what we saw in there. So then they was like, oh, well, you know what? We should just suspend him for the whole season.
Wow.
And so he's done for the season. He gets a year older. He never gets a job back. And so some people might feel like that's still not enough for what he did. Some people might feel like that's too much. But
did he ever get charged with that, like criminally?
I mean, she would have had to press charges, I think. But I mean, they end up getting married after that. So
Interesting.
Like I say, you never really know what the ideal punishment is in any situation. Like, you see so many times where, you know, whether it's 6 games, it's still gonna be an outrage because, you know, Ray Rice, if he lost 6 games during the time that he lost that he hit old girl, it's a different dollar amount than what Kareem Hunt's probably gonna lose as far as 6 games and or a dollar amount. Now, overall wealth and whatever, I mean, that's in it. But is there a dollar amount? Is there a game amount that anybody would be satisfied?
No, I don't think so. I think people, it's no different than saying like the police brutality stuff. If your kid gets shot or killed, I mean, you don't say, well, if they win $500,000, it's okay. Well, my son didn't get killed, but he got beat up pretty bad, so it's worth $2. I mean, how do you really put a number and value on pain, suffering, embarrassment? Now, is she really, I think she's all beat up and like broken and blue-eyed, you know? No, I don't think she got jacked up. But at the same time, I think the whole point is that people want to set a precedent that this shouldn't happen at all. And it's not so much how hurt she was, it's just that what allowed this to be tolerated to this point while other people were around. Luckily, in this video, people were actually trying to stop it.
Gotcha. 710 to Slickville, what we got on the line?
Hey, what's up, Jason, man? This is Antonio, man. Let's reach in.
What's going on, Tone?
Bro, man, this show couldn't have happened at a weirder time, man. I swear, man. It's so crazy. How I'm hearing you guys talking about domestic violence. I just had my TPO hearing today. Right. Actually, today I was in the courtroom all day today.
Wow. So, I mean, so you said you was a victim?
Yeah, man, I was a victim. I was the petitioner. She was the respondent, right? So I'm in court all day. We talking about stories, and all this judge was worried about was custody of our kids. She wasn't worried about her beating on me and whatever her flawed case was against me that was so jacked up. But anyway, she wasn't worried about that. Mm-hmm. She listened, but she didn't she didn't hear nothing about any kind of violence. Evidently, a man can't be violated by a woman. So all she's worried about is the kids, because we were married.
Right.
And that's all she was worried about. And so it was so wrong, but I'm looking at the whole scenario as far as the men getting the bottom rung of the shame version, like not really asserting how this man feels. Like we humans too. You know what I'm saying?
Was the judge at least favoring your way for the custody, assuming that your wife or ex-wife is being abusive? Was she leaning towards, hey, the kid should be with you because of the situation, even if she wasn't sympathetic?
So the situation was that it ended up being a mutual thing, so that we're even in this situation. But I'm the one that called the police. I'm the one that had the busted lip. I'm the one that had a bruised face. I'm the one that grabbed the kids, made sure the kids are straight. I'm the one that called the police and talked to the police twice. And I'm the one that left personally, just because I didn't want to be around her.
Right.
But it ended up being an even battle and uneven at the same time. So she ordered me to pay her $300 child support every month. So I was the one that got my ass kicked.
Wow.
That's tough, man. And that's one of the things that we talked about earlier was just the double standard of, being a dude and then having to, like, I feel like it takes courage to come out and tell somebody that. I mean, I know it takes courage for a woman to step up, but also on the flip side, for a guy to come out and be like, "Yo, my girl is beating on me," and then you call the police, you do what you think is right in the situation, and it's still like, "Oh yeah, he's getting beat on, huh?" Okay, so what's up with these kids though? And
right.
Was this the first time though, Antonio? Was this the first time that you guys had the police come out? Or
yes,
because a lot of times that's what they'll do. They'll try to.
This is the first time police ever been called to our house. First time I wanted to. First time I got close one time about a couple years ago, but I didn't call the police. But this time I called the police, and guess what? There were kids in the room and 2 adults in the room. One I was defending. The other one was her sister, who was 8 months pregnant. How about when I said I was going to call the police, both of those 2 women said, "I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying a thing." 2 women said, "I'm not saying anything about domestic violence and that they witnessed in front of their face." 2 women that were related to both of us. One was my sister, one was her sister.
What was your sister's point to you? Why did she say she felt like she shouldn't say anything? She just didn't want anybody to go to jail?
Same thing. Yep. Exactly.
It's hard.
She's afraid of the police for whatever her reason was, whatever her upbringing, whatever happened. She was on my dad's side, so I was supporting both of these women, as a matter of fact. Living in my house, they didn't pay no rent. They didn't pay no bills. But guess what? They stayed there for months on end and still turn around and say, "Man, I ain't got your back. I ain't gonna ask you if you all right. I ain't gonna say you need an ice pack. Are your kids okay?"
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough, man. I appreciate the call, man. Like,
yeah.
I wish you luck in your hearing and everything like that, man. Everything is gonna work out.
Yeah, Antonio, and don't let this I guess turn you cold, to people. Don't let it.
Oh, that's hard, right?
Yeah, because basically what you're saying is like even your support system, your family, it's like you were left out there. So, just don't let it, resonate with you like that, But hopefully it works.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the
Y'all
call.
be good, man.
All right, we appreciate the call, man. Thank you for watching.
Later.
That's tough.
Later. Yeah, and so in that situation, like, it's still I'm pretty sure people will be like, yo, it's weird to hear a dude come out and say, yo, I've been getting beat on. Like, even if any of my friends call, and most of my homeboys are married, and if they was like, yo, such and such beating on me, I'm like, what? They beating on you? Well, why don't you pull Nelson up? Big your fault.
But when in the reality of the situation, like you said, with men being afraid to have any type of response just because of the level of, what did you do to her? You shouldn't have done nothing. You should just walked away. Here's a man who says, I tried to walk away. I called the police. I took my kids. And even in that scenario, he gets no credit, no support, no sympathy, And if it was the other way around, there would be no way two women would say, I'm not telling the police nothing. We'd be like, right here, hello, I saw everything. I saw him do this. It would be a completely different situation.
Especially if he's in the wrong. Yeah, they'd be lining up to tell their story.
I
got it on tape.
But you talk about sending the woman to jail because she's just emotional. See, we allow women to have a break because we say they're emotional and in the moment, and she really wasn't trying to hurt him. She was just frustrated. But men aren't allowed to have that pass. You guys aren't allowed to be in the moment and have emotions and temper tantrums about it. You got to control yourself.
At all. Even athletes like this, which 90% of their sport is based in being in the moment and the emotions. Like, football players are probably some of the more emotional athletes that exist in this, outside of like boxing and stuff like that, like all of those things. So yeah, they tell you to stay in the moment, stay in your, keep your emotions in check and stuff like that. It's something about a woman that can bring that out, unlike any sport can.
That's true.
Got the juice?
What?
Ding.
She said.
And it's not just sports. I mean, if you kind of like read up on, domestic violence and stuff, firefighters, policemen, guys, men that work in high stress situations.
Yeah, correctional officers.
Officers, they also have issues with, domestic violence. My dad was in the Army, and we used to hear horror stories about, guys coming back from deployments and getting into it with their wife. Some guys can lose their careers over those types of things, with domestic violence, beating their wives or girlfriends, or find themselves in those types of situations, and they can't deal with it, so that aspect is what they choose to deal with, and that's what they lash out with, as far as being physical and being violent, towards people. So understanding that, and you got to have a certain level of emotional intelligence. Like, well, how am I going to deal with this? Because if that's my resort, that's what I'm going to resort to, your life is going to be difficult. Your life is going to be hard. You know what I'm saying? You're probably going to end up, you could lose. These guys, you say, what's a adequate punishment? I think they should lose game checks. I think that there should be a punishment that fits the crime. And you're not playing these games for free. You paying it because you want to make a living, and they're paid handsomely. So you got to take some of that money away. They should miss time on the field. The NFL hadn't done a very good job of proving that it was an important issue to them. Up until the Ray Rice situation, they were very heavy-handed. Like, that man hasn't even gotten an opportunity to come back to the NFL and play at all. So am I saying that what he didn't deserve for him to lose his career over? I mean, who's to say that? I'm sure his wife wishes that what happened wouldn't have happened. I'm also sure his wife feels like he should still be able to play football. So it's like, well, what's the balance? You know what I mean?
Do y'all feel like somebody should lose their job over domestic abuse?
Well, this was crazy because I was talking about this at work. You start talking about some of these cases that we've had where, Permit Patty and these people are out there being racist towards people and are losing their jobs just because they were racist online, because they posted something online, because they called the police on somebody when they shouldn't, and someone says, this is against our values, this is against the core of who we are, we no longer want you to be affiliated with our company. And there's not even any touching going on. It's a phone call. So when you look at that level of respect to say, hey, look, my company's standards don't align with the type of things that you're doing, then I don't think there's a value you can place on respect. And that's what it comes back to. It's not just the pain inflicted, it's just the respect for another human being. And that's what companies are starting to really get, involved with. Where people say, hey, tag that person's company, find out where they work, and they over there making phone calls to your job.
Yeah.
You got to be careful.
Yeah, you definitely see that. Like, but I guess it's a little different because I don't know what Peppermint Patty did.
Permit Patty, she called the police on
Patty.
Yeah.
I know she. I don't know what she did for a living.
Oh, for a living. Yeah. The level of money that she
losing.
losing.
A Walmart cashier there. All right, like they gonna find that, but most of these guys
millions. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. It's a different level. But don't you have to hold yourself to a higher standard because you're in a different level?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, another example, there was a coach who found himself in a situation where his wife also reported some domestic violence issues. He was an assistant coach at Ohio State. So now you have a coach who is involved in a domestic violence issue, and not only was he not fired immediately, but the university and the head coach, helped to cover it up. So he knew what was going on. And then not only did he know what was going on, he heard from the husband and from the wife. The husband tried to lie about it and cover it up. The wife went to the head coach's wife, who took the issue to him. They didn't do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? So when you say, okay, is there another level of responsibility we should have for the players? You know what I'm saying? Because they are players in the NFL, they're professional athletes, they make X amount of money. But then the coaches, who are supposed to be over the players and examples to the players of, positive role models to them, and leading and guiding them and helping growing them, especially in college. Then you have a guy who's beating his wife, and nothing is done until it became like a media issue. Somebody reported it, somebody outed it. It was like a TMZ type situation. TMZ didn't get it, but that's kind of how it was exposed.
Right.
So now you're saying, wow, like, how are we really going to handle this issue altogether? Like, what is our standard going to be? Because it really can't matter who it is. If it's a coach, if it's a player, what if it's an owner? You know what I'm saying? What if it's an owner that's involved in a domestic violence situation? Are we going to say that owner needs to lose his team? Because we got players that are losing their careers. We got coaches that are losing their careers.
That's the problem is with the rules right now, is that it's not consistent. When you say they're heavy-handed on this person, but then this coach gets away with it, but then this player no one ever knew, and then that means the rules are not. It's not consistent for everybody.
And the coach was also white.
Right. And one thing I need everybody to understand is that I know it looks like you go through and you look at all the domestic abuse situations that they get put on TV, and you're like, man, there's so many NFL players, there's so many black NFL players, and that's just not 100% true as far as the total spectrum of all the professional athletes that get it. It just so happened that you got a few high-profile people. They get caught on tape doing it. Of course, the NFL, they got so many more players than any of the other leagues. You got 53-man teams for each squad, whereas baseball, you got, it might be 40 maybe that's active. Basketball, you got 15. Hockey is probably about 12 or 15 players. And those other leagues, that stuff happens.
You're right.
It's just not as publicized. Like no one's gonna know the relief pitcher for the Florida Marlins. Like but he could be out there thrashing people. Addison Russell, he might know who it is, but he got trashed. He got trashed at the end of the season because he got an allegation that happened a while back. Do y'all feel like it's a statute of limitations on when a domestic abuse situation could be brought up and it affect the career?
Just legally, there needs to be, because I mean there is already legally there's a statute of limitations. So I think that should be carried across the right way. At the same time, it needs to be taken into consideration if other allegations are made. Meaning, I might not punish you if something comes up 7-8 years later, or you're for instance, Tyreek Hill, who was on the same team as Hunt, had an incident in college where he was involved in a domestic violence issue, and so he didn't go to jail for that. He didn't get in trouble. He didn't miss any time as a professional or pay as a professional. Were he to get accused tomorrow of something, I would look at that situation differently. Like, he has an issue, he has a problem, and I probably wouldn't even want to hear the other side, to be honest, because it's something that we know has happened before. So, statute of limitations, should somebody be able to bring up an accusation and you're punished as if you did it yesterday, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think we should take that into consideration when we're saying, what's this person's issue, or do they have a problem?
When the Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh had that, everybody was sitting there going, I don't care how old it was, he was 18, it don't matter. So it's like I said, it seems to me it's a double standard on who's in the situation, who they represent, what party they belong to, who their friends and families are, where their connections are, and that's what makes it crazy, because it's not an even, on one hand, even we as black people are like, yeah, Brett, he needs to go, forget him, and then at the same time, a situation happens with someone else, they're like, nah, man, that wasn't nothing. That was 30 years ago. Bill Cosby, why we hey. Yeah, we want them to let Bill Cosby go. So,
an episode, though, that brought us through.
All right, and you know what? You brought up Tyreek Hill, and I think one of the differences is between the Tyreek Hill and we'll just say Joe Mixon in the same situation. Joe Mixon had an incident while he was in college. He punched a girl. I'm talking about he gave her a good one too.
He knocked her out.
On camera?
On
camera. Tyreek Hill wasn't.
Nope.
Now, as far as talent wise, they were both first round talents. I don't remember when Tyreek Hill got drafted, but I know Mixon fell down to the second round, which, I mean, yes, that affects your money. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that he got suspended for the first 4 games of his season. But that stuff happening on tape, it carries a whole lot of weight. It carries a lot of weight. And, I just...
Well, look what happened with, and not to compare women to dogs, but, with the Michael Vick situation. They didn't even got video. The man wasn't even there. This is stuff happened in his home, and he's railroaded to the millionth degree on something that was never on camera.
The trillionth degree.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Another thing about the Vic situation, which is a parallel to this situation with Kareem Hunt, is they weren't honest about it when it was brought to their attention. And Hunt even admitted, I wasn't completely forthcoming with what happened, why it happened, my role that I played in it. And the same thing happened with Michael Vick. Like, he tried to, talk his way out of it instead of, coming to the forefront with it. So I guess maybe that's a thing, even for this gentleman that called in. Definitely prayers for you, bro. I hope everything works out for you. But, being completely 100% honest, whether it's before the judge when he went for his case, or if it's these guys who find themselves in these situations.
Will men get the empathy? Because he's saying they ain't getting nothing. I don't care.
We don't know if they will, but what we do know is if you lie about it and get caught, it's real. It's going to definitely be worse for you.
That's true.
So, I mean, our time is is getting close. What advice would you give to a woman that's in a relationship that could potentially be toxic like that?
Well, I'll say, like I said before, if someone is not bringing out the best in you, if someone is making you go left closer to jail time, you need to remove that person from your life in general. That's just it. Sometimes it's hard, because I do know I work with a lot of women, and when you have kids and stuff, it's hard. It's just a lot of issues that could be revolving around it. But the best thing to do is to just remove yourself as best as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, I've been in situations where I realized someone was making me angry. Like, this person was always pushing my buttons. Like, I was in a relationship with someone who would say stuff and be a bully to me, which would cause me to lash out and want to be a bully back, which then in some scenarios ended in fights and pushes and throwing stuff and breaking stuff. And I would look at myself and say, what brings this out of me? Now, the truth is that some of that's in you anyway, right? You're angry, you got some other stuff that you're dealing with, it's in you. But if someone's able to continuously release those things by pushing it, it's not a healthy relationship. And you have to ask yourself, at some point, somebody's going to end up going to jail. Kids are going to end up seeing something they don't need to see. You're going to end up losing your job, and it's not worth it. And you, like she said, you just have to figure that at the time I have to get away. But I've been in a situation where my coworker was going through it and said, I don't have the money. He takes care of everything. If I leave him, I have nothing. Where do I go, Eric? Am I going to come stay with you? Where do me and my 3 kids go? But when I go home, I know I'm going to get hit. What do you tell someone in that situation?
Tell them to pray. Call on the Lord.
Yeah, prayer didn't help her black eye when she came to work. Because nothing, you know what I'm saying.
No,
like,
I know. No,
there has to be some action with that.
Set the house on fire. Ain't nobody got nowhere to go.
But that's why I was saying it's different. It's different scenarios. Everybody's situation is different. Some people stay in relationships because of pride. You know, sometimes people say, "Oh, you shouldn't be with that person," and they knew that they were that way, and people stay with them just because they wanna, because they look good on social media.
Right.
But that Mac hiding that whack.
I agree. You know, I've told people, like, hey, if a woman can get you to the point where she can make her call the police, then that's probably not the one. Now, I know I've said it. I've said it, and I've told this person, and you know, I feel bad because you don't want to tell somebody, hey, you know, leave this person alone because you know that they care about them or whatever the feeling is. But I was like, for the sake of you, and as somebody I love, you can't allow yourself to be in this scenario, be in that situation with somebody that can take you there, because you get taken there and you wasn't planning to go there. And if she know what that red button is and whatever it is, whether it's when you got liquor in your system or you just waking up, you dealing with something at work, the kid done something that kind of pissed you off a little bit, and then she's like hitting that red button, your fuse already lit. You're done after that. And so I'm like, listen, you can love this person, but that don't mean you got to be with them. Like, sure. That's, I mean, I'm sorry. Like, you might have to just let that person be happy with somebody else, because I'm not going to bail you out. Not after this conversation.
What happens when the fear of, like, I'll kill you? I mean, it gets to the point that a man's like, you ain't going nowhere.
No, and now you got to call that police. You got to call them folks.
Well, we've had situations when people call the police, but he goes to jail for a night, then he comes out,
it's
and
the truth,
next thing you know, you got a funeral someone's planning.
That's true.
Because there was a story in which there was a lady that was saying that the dude was beat on and said he was going to kill him, and nobody took it seriously.
Yep. It's like
and
four last
doing
month,
it.
there's been like 4 black women who were killed by their partners. They're all black men.
True.
Oh, man, that ain't... Who out here shooting their shot? Xavier K. I see you, buddy.
But you did say something about men. Xavier.
Got him. Listen, no, but there are resources that are available. You know, I know it sounds kind of cliche, but I mean, I've lived through it, not necessarily firsthand. It's not my mom and dad, but you know, both my grandmothers were in situations where, you know, it wasn't healthy. You know what I'm saying? And they were both able to remove themselves from it, remove their kids from it, and have awesome careers, you know, raise children that were productive citizens in society and get away from those situations. So it is possible. It's not going to be easy. And you might have to take a step back, you know, as far as, you know, maybe how your living situation is. You might have to go to a shelter. You know, you might have to deal with the police and stuff like that.
They have no room.
And go to a church, go to a mosque, you know, whatever you have to do. You know, if there's somebody you trust at your job, your HR department, like there are resources available. You know, when I get a new job, I read the manual because I'm a nerd, but I mean, it's in there. You know what I'm saying? If you feel like you have something that's pressing, that you can't actually do your job, because that's what your job cares about, right? Like, can you do your job or not? So if you can prove to them, like, hey, I got a situation at home that's preventing me from being a good employee, it would be beneficial for them to help you out. You know what I'm saying? So use any resource that's available to you. Ask questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that must be them jobs on the north side. South side. South side. Well,
leave that at the door.
Right. Don't bring that nonsense to the store.
Whatever. I gotta move up. I gotta move up north for the F.
Right. Devon just said, look at the situation that just happened in Chicago a couple weeks ago at the hospital.
Yeah.
Yes, that was a domestic situation, and
that
was way off the extreme. Damn, that's our time. But look, before we get out of here, I did need to tell you people something y'all need to throw away. 2 things y'all need to throw away if you got this in your house. Thing number 1, you're only allowed to really have about no more than 10 Crown Royal bags in your house. If you got anything more than 10, because you're not using all 10 of those, you just got a couple spares just in case you break the string on one of them. If you got over 10, go ahead and throw the rest of those away. Number 2, and I mean this, old scratch off and old lottery tickets, go ahead and check to see if you won that second time. If you didn't win the second time, go ahead and throw that negativity away. Don't be keeping those losers around your house. That is to somebody specifically. Throw those loser lottery tickets in the trash. Thank you. Y'all got anything y'all want to plug before we get on up out of here?
I'm about to win my fantasy football league. I'm going to go ahead and speak it into existence. I'm looking real good.
How'd you do this week?
I won. I'm in second place. In it to win it. I want to give a shout out to the boys, especially Will, who didn't make the playoffs, but he talked the most SHIT throughout the whole season. So big shout out to my guy Will, who did not make the playoffs.
Okay. All right. What about y'all?
I don't have anything plugged.
Nothing to plug.
Let's unplug them Audis that are available for the month of December. Come see me.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to get that friend deal.
Yes, you get the 710 To Slickville show discount.
We out here selling. Shout out to Jim Ellis if we about to get some sponsorship. I
done cost myself.
Hey, but look, guys, next week, we only got 2 more shows this year. We're going to shut it down for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, but tune in next week on the 10th. We're going to bring some more good stuff to you. I don't know what we're going to talk about just yet, but I know it's going to be good whenever we get done.
I think we need to do a shoot your shot show for our single ladies.
Shoot your shot,
where you at?
Yeah, that is what we're going to do.
We're going to do it. We got to bring some single ladies out here.
I'm ready. Well, I'm ready.
We'll get Ivy swag. We'll do a couch session. Single man, you need to come in the comments and
yeah.
I'm gonna advise. I ain't got a whole lot of single. I don't know no single dudes like
shoot
that.
Your shot.
Shoot your shot Monday. Next Monday. Let's get it. Whoop. 710 Slickville. We out these streets.